After the unfortunate recent cancellation of the Ryan Reynolds TV network, the actor is now also facing a massive financial blow.
Can he still sell a movie? Everything that's gone on with his wife and Justin Baldoni, that must have had an impact on how Hollywood feels about him. So for the time being, this big deal, it's no more.
I don't know, but I do think it's interesting that he has these fallouts with other actors, as we talked about before. TJ Miller was one of them, and there's been other people that have said they never want to work with Ryan Reynolds again.
But it's like Blake disappeared from his life. He decided Blake is not good for my career, so I will drop her like that.
I think she's ruined her career so much. All she has left is winning this case. And I think she's willing to throw anybody under the bus to help her.
Ryan Reynolds appears to have recognized early on that being closely tied to Blake Lively during the controversy could negatively affect his own public image. So much of the attention has remained focused on her while he has largely stayed out of the spotlight. But the bigger concern may not be the headlines. It may be his career. One point that has received surprisingly little attention is that Ryan has reportedly gone more than a year and a half without landing a major new acting role. For an actor who was once one of Hollywood's most sought-after stars, with studios competing to cast him, that kind of slowdown raises questions. And while much of the public conversation continues to revolve around the Blake Lively and Taylor Swift wedding drama, his professional future may be the issue causing the greatest concern behind the scenes.
You know, what's going on? Why is he not in a rush to make Deadpool movies? Because he can't afford for it to bomb. That's why. Neither can Disney. No one really wants it to because he's not the same box office guarantee that he was previously.
Another development that has raised eyebrows is the reported end of Ryan Reynolds' first-look deal with Paramount. For those unfamiliar with the term, a first-look deal is a prestigious arrangement in which a studio agrees to give a filmmaker or actor priority consideration for future projects, reflecting a high level of confidence in their creative value. Ryan once had that advantage, but now it's reportedly gone, and the reasons behind the change have fueled widespread speculation. Some observers believe the timing is difficult to ignore, coming amid the ongoing controversy surrounding Blake Lively, the legal disputes, and the release of court documents that have drawn increased public scrutiny toward Ryan's role in the situation. Reports that he also parted ways with his longtime agent have only intensified those questions, as major representation changes often spark speculation about career strategy during challenging periods. Whether those decisions are connected or simply coincidental remains unclear, but one thing is evident. His upcoming film slate appears noticeably quieter than many expected for one of Hollywood's biggest stars. Much of Ryan's success has been built on his relatable charm, self-deprecating humor, and carefully crafted public image, yet public sentiment online appears to have shifted, with many of his social media posts now attracting criticism rather than praise. Comment sections are increasingly dominated by debates over past controversies and renewed discussion about his perceived involvement in the Blake Lively legal battle, leading some critics to argue that the humorous persona that once resonated so strongly with audiences no longer has the same impact. Whether this shift proves temporary or marks a lasting change in how audiences view him remains to be seen, but there is little doubt that his reputation is facing one of its biggest tests in years.
She has definitely ruined her career. Without a doubt. Everybody in town is admitting this, whether they want to do it to her face or not. She has destroyed her credibility, and nobody wants to hire her due to the fact of who would want to deal with that.
One point that often gets overlooked is that Deadpool is ultimately not Ryan Reynolds' character to control. The character is owned by Marvel Studios and Disney, meaning the final decisions about its future rest with those companies, not with any individual actor. Ryan undeniably played a major role in turning Deadpool into a global phenomenon, helping revive his career after years of more modest success and transforming the franchise into one of the biggest superhero brands in Hollywood. But in the world of blockbuster filmmaking, no role is guaranteed forever. Some industry observers have speculated that if a studio ever concluded an actor's public image was becoming a liability, it could choose to recast the character or take the franchise in a different direction. Whether that will happen is impossible to know, but Disney is ultimately a business driven by long-term strategy and shareholder interests. If executives ever believed a different creative direction better served the franchise, they would have the authority to make that decision, regardless of past successes or fan nostalgia.
The mistake everybody always makes dealing with show business is thinking that it's personal. It's not. It's always financial. They look at the numbers, they look at the projections, they look at what your other movies have made. And Ryan really has had a very spotty career. He's had a lot of movies that have not done very well, particularly the movies where he's trying to be a little bit more serious or a little bit more artistic.
Reports and online speculation have suggested that some of Ryan Reynolds' upcoming projects have experienced delays, with some commentators claiming studios are taking a closer look at productions to ensure there is nothing that could create unnecessary legal or public relations issues. Some have even speculated that completed projects have undergone additional reviews or reshoots, though the reasons for such production changes are rarely made public and can vary widely. Even so, when a high-profile project requires unexpected adjustments, it often fuels questions about everyone involved. In Hollywood, perception can be just as important as reality, and once an actor begins to attract controversy, studios may become more cautious when weighing future investments. Ryan was once considered one of the industry's safest and most bankable stars, but critics argue that the conversation surrounding his career has shifted dramatically. As actors move into different stages of their careers, they inevitably face increasing competition from a new generation of talent, making every casting decision more strategic for studios. Some industry observers believe that if executives begin to associate an actor with ongoing controversy rather than dependable box office appeal, the business calculation changes. Whether that perception proves temporary or long-lasting remains uncertain, but there is no doubt that Ryan Reynolds' professional future is now being discussed in a very different light than it was only a few years ago.
And let's not forget, Ryan, how you spoke to them in your own text messages. You should be ashamed of yourself, dude. It is so pathetic, my man. I'm so embarrassed by you and all you've done here. It's shocking.
Ryan Reynolds has built an estimated fortune reportedly worth around $350 million, with blockbuster films often commanding salaries in the tens of millions of dollars. That financial success has fueled endless speculation about what could happen if his personal life ever changed, particularly as rumors about his marriage continue to circulate online. However, there is no confirmed evidence that Ryan and Blake Lively are separating, or that any reports about the details of their marital agreements are accurate. Even so, commentators have argued that if a high-profile couple with significant shared wealth were ever to divorce, the financial consequences could be substantial, especially if one partner's career were facing increased uncertainty at the same time. From that perspective, some believe the combination of ongoing public controversy and questions about future career opportunities would make any major personal decision far more complicated. Whether those rumors have any basis remains unknown, but there is little doubt that both Ryan's professional future and his public image are now being watched more closely than ever before.
This doesn't seem healthy, right? There is something incredibly unhealthy going on there. And I don't care how much he still is wearing that wedding ring. You know that relationship is so soured.
The legal battle has undoubtedly been expensive, with significant resources reportedly being devoted to attorneys, public relations specialists, and crisis management teams as the dispute continues to generate headlines. Because Ryan Reynolds has been publicly connected to the controversy, online commentators have speculated that he has also faced substantial financial and reputational costs, although the extent of any direct legal expenses has not been publicly confirmed. Court filings and released communications have fueled debate about his level of involvement, with critics arguing that the disclosures intensified scrutiny of his role, while others maintain that many conclusions being circulated remain speculative. Regardless, prolonged legal disputes often create ongoing financial pressure, particularly when new developments continue to keep a case in the public eye. Beyond the courtroom, Ryan's personal brand, built for years around humor, relatability, and an approachable public image, has also become a focal point of discussion. Some observers believe the controversy has changed how audiences view that persona, leading to questions about the long-term impact on endorsement opportunities, business ventures, and production projects. Brands and business partners routinely evaluate reputational risk, and while there is no public evidence that all of Ryan's commercial relationships have been affected, public perception can influence corporate decisions over time. Speculation has also extended to his marriage, with rumors suggesting growing tension behind the scenes. But there is no confirmed evidence that Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively are separating or engaged in divorce proceedings. Likewise, claims about private conversations, blame, or strategic plans for a future separation remain unverified. Public attention has even turned to Ryan's recent appearances, with some social media users commenting that he looks more tired than in previous years, though drawing conclusions about a person's health or emotional state from photographs alone is inherently speculative. What can be said with confidence is that sustained public scrutiny, legal disputes, and constant media attention can place enormous pressure on anyone in the spotlight, and the coming months will likely determine whether this controversy proves to be a temporary setback or a lasting turning point in Ryan Reynolds' career and public image.
So if he wants to have any sort of career in Hollywood, I think this is going to affect him.
Public appearances and paparazzi photos have become another focal point of online discussion. In the past, candid images of Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively often reinforced their carefully cultivated image as one of Hollywood's most relatable couples, but recent appearances have sparked a noticeably different reaction across social media. Critics argue that what once felt effortless now appears overly calculated, with comment sections increasingly filled with accusations that the public outings are attempts to project normalcy during an ongoing controversy. Whether that perception is fair or not, it reflects a significant shift in public sentiment. At the same time, disappearing from public view entirely would likely fuel even more speculation, leaving Ryan in a difficult position where almost every move is scrutinized. For years, his brand was built on quick wit, self-deprecating humor, and an image of confidence under pressure. But some commentators now believe that approach is proving less effective as the controversy continues. Court filings and released communications have also intensified debate over his level of involvement in the dispute surrounding It Ends With Us. While the extent and interpretation of those communications remain contested, they have prompted renewed discussion about his role behind the scenes and led some critics to question whether the public persona he spent years cultivating accurately reflected reality. In an industry where reputation can influence casting decisions and business relationships, even the perception of controversy can reshape how executives, audiences, and potential collaborators view a public figure. Whether those perceptions ultimately have a lasting impact on Ryan Reynolds' career remains to be seen, but there is little doubt that his public image is facing one of its most significant tests in years.
He looks tired. He looks unwell. He looks stressed. And I can imagine why, given everything that's happened.
Attention has also shifted to what may be happening behind the scenes in Hollywood, where industry relationships can change quickly when a public controversy begins to dominate the conversation. While much of what occurs inside studios remains private, commentators often point to the entertainment industry's informal, whisper network, where reputations and opinions can spread long before any official announcements are made. Some insiders have claimed that Ryan Reynolds is facing a more cautious reception than he once enjoyed, with reports suggesting certain projects are being reevaluated and some development conversations slowing amid the ongoing scrutiny surrounding the Blake Lively legal dispute. Although there is no public confirmation that studios have collectively distanced themselves from him, observers argue that even the perception of controversy can influence casting decisions and business negotiations. Reports have also circulated that some executives and producers are reassessing potential collaborations, though the reasons behind individual project decisions have not been publicly confirmed. At the same time, anonymous industry sources have offered mixed assessments of Ryan's professional reputation, with some describing him as highly involved and demanding in the creative process, while others have portrayed those same traits less favorably. Because these claims rely largely on unnamed sources and personal opinions, they should be treated with caution rather than as established fact. Even so, in an industry where perception often shapes opportunity, sustained speculation alone can influence how future partnerships are viewed, making reputation almost as valuable as box office success itself.
Just take some time off. You can afford to. And then find the right project, come back. That's what's going to end up happening. I don't know why I'm trying to help you, but just log off for a little while.
One of the biggest realities of Hollywood is that filmmaking is built on collaboration. Every major production depends on actors, directors, Writers, producers, and studios choosing to work together, and reputation can play a significant role in those decisions. Some industry observers argue that when a public figure becomes the center of prolonged controversy, potential collaborators may become more cautious about attaching themselves to new projects, even if no official blacklist exists. There is no public evidence that Ryan Reynolds has been broadly rejected by Hollywood or that other A-list actors are refusing to work with him, but commentators have speculated that the ongoing scrutiny surrounding his public image could make studios more selective as they evaluate future investments. Likewise, while some announced projects have experienced delays, there is no confirmed evidence that those changes were caused by concerns over Ryan's reputation. Even so, perception often influences business decisions in the entertainment industry, and sustained controversy can reshape how executives, creative partners, and audiences evaluate future opportunities. Ultimately, a movie star's long-term success depends on maintaining both industry confidence and audience support. If either of those begins to weaken, it can create challenges that no amount of marketing or star power can immediately overcome. Whether Ryan Reynolds experiences a lasting impact remains uncertain, but there is little doubt that his career is currently being viewed through a far more critical lens than it was only a few years ago.
I think he's kind of an insecure dude. Would I work with him again? No.
Some commentators argue that audience engagement has become an increasingly important factor in how studios evaluate talent, with streaming performance, box office results, and public sentiment all influencing future casting decisions. While there is no public evidence that Ryan Reynolds' projects are experiencing measurable declines solely because of his involvement, critics have suggested that prolonged controversy could affect how studios assess the financial value of high-profile stars. In an industry where leading actors can command salaries of $20 million or more per film, executives are constantly weighing risk against potential return, and if public perception changes, those calculations may evolve as well. Another question frequently raised by observers is why Ryan has remained so visible throughout the controversy instead of taking an extended break from the spotlight. Some public relations professionals have argued that stepping away from public appearances and social media can sometimes allow intense media attention to fade naturally, while others believe maintaining visibility helps preserve public relevance. Ultimately, no one outside Ryan and his advisors knows what strategy they have chosen or why. Whether his continued public presence reflects confidence, business obligations, or a deliberate communications plan is impossible to confirm. What is clear is that every appearance, interview, or social media post now receives far more scrutiny than it once did, illustrating how quickly public perception can shift when a celebrity becomes the center of a highly publicized controversy.
Marvel can very easily replace Deadpool, as we've seen them replace these characters a number of times, and completely forget about Ryan Reynolds.
Many critics argue that the most effective way to move past a major public controversy is to step back and let the attention fade, yet Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively have remained visible, prompting ongoing debate about whether that strategy is helping or hurting their public image. Some commentators believe a lower profile or a direct public response might have reduced the intensity of the conversation, while others see their continued appearances and social media activity as an effort to project stability during a difficult period. Whatever the strategy, every public outing, Instagram post, and media appearance is now analyzed far more closely than before, with critics interpreting even ordinary moments through the lens of the ongoing legal dispute. Ryan built much of his reputation on being witty, relatable, and approachable, but the controversy has led some observers to reassess that carefully cultivated image. Court filings and release communications have generated significant public discussion about his level of involvement, though many of the allegations remain disputed and the legal matters continue to be interpreted differently by the parties involved. Critics have also pointed to the contrast between the serious nature of the legal claims and Ryan's comedic public persona, arguing that the timing of certain interviews and jokes created an appearance of inconsistency. Whether that interpretation is fair or not, it illustrates how public perception can change when a celebrity's off-screen controversies begin to overshadow the image they spent years building. Once audiences begin viewing every public appearance through that lens, rebuilding trust can become a long and difficult process.
According to the evidence that we have seen thus far, Ryan and Blake conspired and colluded to bully Justin off of this project, to steal the movie.
Critics have also pointed to what they see as inconsistencies in some of Ryan Reynolds' past interviews and public statements, arguing that certain accounts of events have appeared to change over time. Online communities have compiled clips and side-by-side comparisons in an attempt to highlight those perceived contradictions, although the significance of those differences remains a matter of interpretation rather than established fact. At the same time, some observers have focused on Ryan's recent public appearances, suggesting that he appears more tense or uncomfortable than in previous years. Social media users have analyzed interviews, red carpet events, and paparazzi photos, interpreting his body language and expressions as signs that he is under considerable pressure. However, it is impossible to determine a person's emotional or mental state from public appearances alone. What can be said is that prolonged media scrutiny, legal controversy, and constant public attention can place enormous pressure on anyone in the spotlight. Whether the public's interpretation of Ryan's demeanor is accurate or simply a reflection of heightened scrutiny remains uncertain, but there is little doubt that every appearance he makes is now being examined far more closely than it was before the controversy began.
Reynolds, how's it going?
Great. Why? What have you heard?
Some commentators believe that maintaining the appearance that everything is normal during an intense public controversy can become emotionally and professionally draining. They argue that Ryan Reynolds now appears more fatigued than he did in previous years, interpreting changes in his appearance as signs of prolonged stress. However, it is not possible to determine a person's emotional or physical condition from photographs, videos, or public appearances alone. What can be said is that sustained legal disputes, relentless media attention, and constant online scrutiny can place enormous pressure on anyone in the public eye. Critics have also speculated that some professional relationships may have become more cautious as the controversy continues, though there is no public evidence that friends or colleagues have broadly distanced themselves from Ryan. In Hollywood, where reputation and public perception can influence business decisions, even the possibility of controversy may cause some collaborators to proceed more carefully. Whether those perceptions ultimately have a lasting effect on Ryan's career remains uncertain, but there is little doubt that he is navigating one of the most closely scrutinized periods of his professional life, with every appearance, project, and public statement receiving far greater attention than ever before.